Welcome to the Hot Air Podcast, an extension from the West Wind team where the two biggest hotheads spill their hot air in the form of news and media. My name is Dominic Grubb.
And I'm Aiden McKinney.
And we are joined by a special guest host, ghost host, ghost host, Logan Spencer, and this is your Hot Air. All right, so to start us off, we have a lot of little topics to talk about today. For example, we have Spirit Week and Homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
Those both happened the previous week. So when we're filming this, obviously, we can't naturally say that it's going to come out the next week. We are filming this on Monday, which we don't have school today, so we have plenty of time to figure it out. So I think we should have it posted by Friday, maybe?
Yeah, I think so, for sure.
So enough about our issues. We can go on about who won Homecoming. So the big news is, did anybody not see this coming? Did anybody not see Adler Rice winning?
No, I think we all do.
He wins everything.
Yeah. He's the president.
I mean, it's Mr. President.
Yeah. That is my president. Last year, I started walking around, and I had his posters in my hand. And I walked in front of him for a good day straight, and I started screaming, "This is my president!" like a current, presidential run.
Yeah.
I think I sold it. To be honest with you, I walked past everyone.
Single-handedly.
I walked into classes yelling about it.
Wow, that's commitment.
We all knew Adler Rice, but actually the Homecoming Queen was kind of a throw up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really predict who would win. Who'd you vote for?
There was a few.
I actually didn't see that.
I think I voted for Bella Little.
You voted for Bella?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I voted for Faith.
Yeah.
In good faith, of course.
In good faith.
Yeah. That was so stupid.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure, I would see Adler Rice, I'd see his posters everywhere. People would come up to me with sunglasses with his name on it,
Yeah, right? Adler.
Yeah.
But the winner was actually Lexi Long.
Okay.
I heard a lot of people say that they thought she was going to win. So, it's not necessarily, the biggest, upset of the century, but it's definitely, it was definitely in the air. It's definitely up in the air. Now, on the other hand, we have the Prince and Princess of Homecoming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we
did.
I voted for Zach Daly, previous weightlifter of the week, Zach Daly.
All right.
But he didn't win.
See,
he did not win.
I don't think I voted for Prince and Princess, I'm going to be honest.
Because they were on the forum, I did. I voted, I don't know who the...
I think I might have just randomly voted.
I don't know who the princess was, but I was going to vote for Spencer, so I just may or may not have handed him my phone.
Okay, I see that. But we, Jonathan Gantz won Prince, and Sloan won Princess, actually.
Okay.
So, what's weird is I wasn't expecting people that actually ran together to win. In my opinion.
True. They always get split.
They've always been split.
Years
Adler Rice and Lexi did not.
I know specifically, last year, I think it was Noah got split, but he was put on the Homecoming court.
Yeah.
It's
that must be really awkward if one of you wins and the other one doesn't.
I gotta sit there and be like,
okay, all right.
That's also why a lot of couples don't run. If you look at it, a lot of those people are not in relationships. A lot of those people aren't. They just kind of come together as a business partner, which I think is the smartest idea possible. I think it's probably the smartest thing to do because it reduces drama by tenfold.
Yeah, it's smart. It's a smart decision.
100%. Now, another thing that came through was Spirit Week, obviously. And I really tried to go all out for my senior Spirit Week because I remember.
more chances coming up.
The only day I didn't do was the Halloween costume day because I couldn't find a Halloween costume. I went around looking for stuff. Me and him, you can ask him. We were gonna go to Spirit Halloween and it was closed anyway, so we just ended up going to Walmart and there's nothing there. Walmart was definitely a letdown in my opinion.
I told you to get the banana.
I didn't want to be a banana. You were being a banana. Noah was a banana. Everybody was a banana.
Yeah, because
whatever. But what I did do, I did do the mix match on Monday. I had a suit on top of rainbow pajama pants and I actually had a shirt and it was a T-Rex on it. It said, "If you're happy, you know it, clap your O." It's the stupidest shirt I could have found.
Yeah,
and it
no,
worked.
I remember that shirt.
It worked.
Yeah,
It
kind of
really
hurts
worked.
my brain, better or worse.
That's the middle school masterpiece right there.
Right. What else? I think I did Ken on Tuesday. I
You
had
did
work.
for jungle. You were like a safari guy.
Oh yeah, I was the safari guy. I walked
Yeah.
around with like an animatronic tiger that I found
Yeah,
in my
it
attic.
scared me.
That thing was awful.
Yeah,
That was my
you
attic.
did that.
I did
That
not.
was an attic that was an attic treasure?
That was an attic treasure.
Yeah.
That was legitimately an attic. That was just there, you know.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna go off one day. Like,
One day, it's out of captivity now, so it's a little.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
taking a nap
scarier.
and you just
That's
hear words in the attic.
What was I Wednesday? What was Wednesday?
I think Wednesday was
Was
the
Wednesday was the joke?
Oh, yeah,
Wednesday
Wednesday was the
it was
Thursday was
bad.
Halloween, and then Friday was the toga.
Toga. Toga.
Yeah,
Funny story. About
we
that.
all went out for the toga. I think.
Yeah,
a
everyone-
lot of seniors did.
Yeah. I went really out for Toga because I decided I was not gonna wear a shirt underneath that thing.
Yeah.
And surprisingly enough, the president himself got dress coded at the Rice. You know, the homecoming king. He got
no.
dress coded. So
I saw him.
every time I passed by, I pulled a knot up, so that way everything would be covered,
Mm-hmm.
but my back would be completely exposed. So I put on a backpack to hold it all
Yeah,
in place,
I remember that.
and it worked like a charm
Works as a stress.
until I had to do tug of
Yeah.
war.
And until you outed yourself on the podcast.
No, it doesn't matter now.
Yeah, no, I know.
It doesn't matter now. What are you gonna do about it? Y'all can't do nothing. It's over.
Except comment and share and support, guys.
Perfect.
You're right. That is right.
I didn't do anything for the first 2 days. I just kind of, I
You were all out
couldn't
in
think
it,
of
huh?
anything. Well, yeah, because
I was Jason Mraz for
my
Halloween.
wardrobe isn't exactly the most diverse. So for Monday and Tuesday, I just didn't do anything. I showed up in regular attire and was like, oh, dude, that looks cool. Oh, dude, nice. And then,
Yeah.
Wednesday and Thursday, I said, screw it, and I just got this $17 banana costume from Walmart. and
Yeah.
wore it because it was
There we
funny.
go.
Yeah.
I like bananas. They're funny.
And you did that for Halloween costume, and you did that also for
I did that for the jungle.
Jungle one.
Hey, that works. I mean,
As far as I'm
business
concerned,
move.
And
jungle
then
banana.
you really went out with the
Toga.
toga. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember the toga. I don't know if we can break it up because I don't know how many people are gonna be like really against certain religious icons,
Mm-hmm.
right, guys?
Nah, but everyone's
It's your fault.
Is it?
Anyway,
No, but I mean, everyone, regardless of your belief, you know who Jesus Christ
yeah,
is.
you know who Jesus Christ is, but Toga Day was fun because of the pep rally, and I was actually not signed up for tug of war. I got called out randomly, right? Like I got called out by two of the people that I knew. And
What?
They were like,
Should've been
you
there.
signed up. You were signed up, and I was like, screw it, and I jumped over, ran onto the field.
Awkwardly, walked around everybody and just, kind of walked out.
And
Making sure there was no one watching.
and I ended up back there, and I was like, guys, I'm not signed up for this. I never signed up for this, and they were like, what? And I was like, so what do you mean, what? I wasn't signed up for this. I never signed. I was trying to tell you guys that multiple. He's like, he told me that you were signed up, but he told me, I was like, oh boy. So I thought I was gonna get kicked out, and I was kind of worried that in front of the entire school, somebody was gonna be like, hey, you. Go. And I'd have to walk all the way back from the
Walk your shame.
football field.
They
Yeah.
take the apples that we're bobbing with and put them on.
And I was in my toga too, so it definitely would not be a good position to be
Yeah,
in.
it's
Walk of
not-
shame.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think it'd get too dirty. It could just get a little wet because
Yeah.
apples aren't necessarily tomatoes.
It
That
was
would
a
just kind of
white
make-
sheet.
Yeah, it's just
It
gotta
was
be a
a-
little apple-shaped bruise.
Yeah, it would be a white sheet though. So I mean, if it was, anyway. No, that was the pep rally was all right. This year, I think.
I just
Other
went
than
on
that, though, I
I
feel
went
like a
on-
lot of I personally feel like I did not see really anything Spirit Week wise before Friday.
I think I saw a lot for Halloween.
There were some, there were some big shows and whatnot, but in terms of the actual masses of people who participated,
Yeah.
there was none.
I think it increased slightly every day, and then had a huge jump for Toga Day.
Oh yeah.
Or for the colors in
I
general.
agree with all that because when I was walking in the first day, I was like, is nobody else doing this?
Yeah.
And when I walked in, people were looking at me like I was weird.
Yeah.
Because
No,
I was
people
in
did
their
for me
shop.
too when I
They
did
look at
when I
you
did
like-
Beach Can on Tuesday.
Yeah, and I just thought to myself, I was like, what's necessarily like, what's the whole point? Like,
Yeah.
and I feel like last year it wasn't the same way, but last year also had a pretty lame like pep rally. The pep rally last year was really bad
I
compared to
remember
this one.
that. Yeah. I think I covered it.
Yeah, it was a really fun balloon there too.
Yeah, there was
I
a
remember
great
that.
balloon there,
Yeah, I remember
but we can't say what it was or how it got there.
I don't. I honestly don't know. I just saw that.
Yeah. Anyway, so with the Spirit Week wise, it was definitely like the quantity was different this year. I think a lot of it is because we have a much larger group of freshmen now.
That's true. And
And
we have
a
less
lot-
seniors. I think I heard that there's a lot less seniors.
Because a lot of people
Yeah.
also like to graduate early.
Yeah,
And do
yeah.
stuff like that.
Which I get. I mean,
There's more of the people who are scared to stand out because they don't want to get like bullied or anything,
Yeah.
and there's less of the people that are like, dude, just have fun with it.
yeah.
It's
I mean, it takes
It's a big
something
contrast.
to, you know.
I mean, I can follow with that just as well because I was talking to somebody, so I had to do an interview for the varsity football thing that I wrote and the JV football that's going to eventually be in the newspaper. And I even talked about people on the gym stuff, which we'll get to in a little bit, to talk about my article coming up. So I have about 3 different articles that are just on the way, but a lot of them had me talking to people that were freshmen or the
Yeah.
coach of the football team. And the coach of the football team, Howell, he was looking at me and said something about there being over like 400 new freshmen
Mhm.
that just freshly got into the school. So if you think about it, a lot of me, because like freshman year, did you guys come out here in Spirit Week?
freshman year I was at home.
Yeah, it was
I
COVID year.
COVID.
It was
That
COVID
was
year.
my COVID year.
But I also don't think you never really see a
would
lot
be-
of freshmen doing.
On,
No,
like,
it's like
our
even-
real first school year was absolutely the sophomore year, so we don't have
Yeah,
like,
my first
the
high school
freshman
year was something.
experience.
Yeah. I was here for about most of the year though. I was definitely the person that would do half and half.
Mm-hmm.
And I think hot topic here, hot take. We should definitely bring back the Wednesday chill day.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I really thought that if there was anything to really show how like invested certain kids were with what they do and the school, that if you gave them one day, like in the middle of the week, because I really could have used this last year
Mhm.
when I had 3 AP classes, when I had pre-calc, which is now an AP class if you didn't know,
Mhm.
when I had all that stuff on top of it.
Mhm.
I feel like I would have really, really benefited from a day like Wednesday where you could just do work. You could,
Yeah.
and it doesn't even have to be that you have to stay home, right? It doesn't have to be like a teacher workday thing. It could easily be a come to school.
Just like a
You're
universal
mandated-
study hall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you're
I get
mandated to come in. You're mandated to go to the classes that you're assigned to, but go in there, study hall, right? It's a study hall day. You should be able to study.
Well, we
Ask
do that in
teachers questions.
journalism every Wednesday.
There's that. The only issue
Like
I
we
do.
yeah,
the
we
only
try to
issue I
find-
really think about that is there's always those few kids that are exceptionally ahead in the classes. So what are they going to be doing just there? Because not
Well, that's
everyone
like a
likes to
reward
read a
for
book.
them.
Not
I mean,
everyone likes to just lay
That's
their
true.
head down and whatnot. They're just sitting there for an hour and a half.
I agree with that, but I also agree with what Aiden said. It's kind of like a reward because if you sit there and you're bombarded with a lot of work, right? But let's say one person here completes all that work. Now they can either get a step ahead, they can start moving forward, or they can relax. They can take it as a day,
Yeah.
But
But
I
like
mean,
if I'm ahead, I could just, listen to music. I could I don't know. I could bring something specifically, knowing that I would, what
Yeah,
I mean?
and I recently because of journalism, I really I have the first period off.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I really don't have too much on my plate. But in journalism, you're always working towards the next thing.
Yeah.
It's never really you don't have anything to do. It's
Yeah.
always
You
like
always have something.
it's always like you're done. So it's either you can take a break now or you can get a head start on the next week's assignment or the week after that's assignment. Or you can get a few days ahead like we're doing today with the day off recording session.
Yeah.
You can start moving forward and all that stuff.
It really depends on the class that you're in, though, because stuff like weightlifting or whatnot, you could just, I don't know, do you just have like a free outside day? What are you doing in there? Are you just
That's a
allowed
good
to
question.
do what you'd like to? In art class, obviously you've got your different art things that you're doing in there, but what exactly do you do if you're done, are you going to be allowed to progress to the next assignment? Some teachers don't vibe with that. And then there's also the class policies of what you're allowed to do in your free time. There's no phones, everything on the computer is blocked. No one likes to see an earbud. So there's a big toss-up.
That is a good topic, and it's a good thing to bring up because I think there are some classes that you can make an exception to. Like if you're going to school for a weightlifting class, it's obvious that you're coming to school to weightlift. You're not going there and being like, oh, this is not what I want to do. Like you signed up for it, you're in this, and if you go into a weightlifting class, it's more than likely going to be a bunch of kids who consistently go to the gym and who consistently show up to show out. And there's also going to be those kids that want to get into the gym, that are starting to work into, consistency, which is a very big play into like that gym culture. So what I'm saying is like there's certain classes like electives that you're choosing to do because it's something that you enjoy to do rather than something that you're kind of obliged to do. But when when you're an AP kid or you're an honors kid or maybe you're behind on some things and you need to make up time, where can you get that time to, write, and you can get that time as a study hall, right? So let's say you do weightlifting in the middle of the day. You have 3 AP classes. Wouldn't you want those 3 AP classes to have a study day once a week? And then in between, you can just go into your weightlifting class. You can do the thing that you want to do, that you come to school to do, and then do everything else.
Because I think another thing you absolutely bring up is that weightlifting and those other classes, it's not paperwork. It's your elective work. You're doing things like you're going in there. You don't have an assignment or a quota to meet. You're just pumping iron. You can't. Your teacher's not sitting there yesterday saying like, okay, cool, you curled 25. Yet tomorrow I want to see you curl 30. You better work on that while you're home tonight. Like that's not the thing there. You're going in and you're using the science to improve yourself.
Now that brings me to a new thing. So with this elective talk and stuff like that, and I think it's great. I think that's what we need to talk about. I think that's opinion I think a lot of people would share, right? Like you're sitting there, you come in every weekend, but on the topic of gym, right? We're talking about the gym here. We're talking about consistency. We're talking about going into it. We're talking about this stuff. I know you don't want to talk about it, but you have to talk about how much the gym has like started to really take over in teenage like media and stuff like that. Because if you look at it, you have a lot of these people, these influencers that are big, and they stem from people as far away as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who has his own Under Armour branch now. You have people like Arnold Schwarzenegger who are older. You have these new, these older influencers, right? But now there's been a kind of boom. And I've been writing about this for something for the school, for the journalism article. So there's definitely more on it that you guys can go check out, after this video or podcast. And I just want to talk about, how scary it is that people are starting to really get into it. Because I wasn't originally going to bring this up, but after I kind of talked to a lot of people about the gym and about like stuff like that, they started telling me, and I started asking them about how it influences them. And a lot of that is dangerously close to steroids and other things that can harm the body. I don't know what influencers you guys have heard of. Do you guys know who Sam Sulek is?
No.
Not really.
I honestly, I don't know like any big gym influencers. I see like the comedy aspect of it and whatnot, but I don't follow any of that stuff online because personally I don't truck with any of the artificial things and whatnot. I keep it just keep it like natural. Actually do things without inputting things to your body aside from like the fuel you obviously need to work out with your food, your water. Sometimes you want some electrolytes, some caffeine to keep you going. But none of that stuff that's going to alter your body drastically. I think you just need to keep it that everybody's body is built differently. It's going to build differently when you work out. You don't want to try to force it to be something that your body's not allowed, like wasn't created to do, because then you're going to put a lot of strain on your own self, and that's not good for you in any physical or mental aspect.
Yeah. And two, it's like when you see people and you really want to be like, you see your favorite celebrity, you find out they're jacked or something and you didn't know about that. Or they're like big, you know, they got some sports drink kind of sponsorship and they're talking about that. Like you, oftentimes, you know, whether it's...
Logan Paul.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whether you're conscious,
Yeah.
or like literally whatever, like no matter what age, subconsciously, consciously, whatever, like you're gonna want to. There's a good chance you're gonna want to look like that. There's a good chance you're gonna, you know.
Yeah,
Because you've been constructed to think that like this is what the peak human being looks like. I want to be like that.
And how can you get to that?
Now-
Especially for people that don't have like a bunch of free time to go to the gym
And-
all
yeah,
the time.
and
Like
the
how are they gonna get to that?
And the people who don't have the free time, they say, well, you know what? Under the market, there's this little thing called a shortcut.
Yeah.
And
There's
that's
always
where we start
shortcuts to
getting
everything.
and that's where we get to the problem.
Yeah, and that is a big problem because if you go online, you know, you look at all these things. Now, you guys might not be in tune with it. You guys might not be too interested in it.
No.
But it's definitely hitting the right group of people. Because if I walk into a gym right now, like say the Planet Fitness down the road or Better Built, both of which I have, you know, memberships for, and I go in there, and if I walk up to, you know, somebody from like 20 under, and I ask them, hey, do you know who Sam Sulek is? Hey, do you know who Andrew Eubanks is? Hey, do you know who Max Taylor is? A majority of them are going to say they know at least 2 of 3 of the people that I just named.
Mhm.
And the bad part is, there's always that worry that one of them is on steroids. Now, one of them is. Sam Sulek is definitely on steroids. It's confirmed and all that stuff. His blood work and stuff like that.
Wait, okay, is one of these the guy that like was... I can't remember exactly, like the one that just ate like raw meat or
Liver
something
King.
like that?
Liver King.
Liver King.
Liver King.
That was
That's-
such a
that's
big
what I know.
thing.
That's-
Yeah, the fact that
That
he
was
got called out
amazing.
too.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part because a lot of them are promoting this heavy lifting, heavy duty stuff.
And that's not even what's making
And they're
it.
saying that it's all natural, right? But if you look at it and you look at these people and they're casually curling the full stack of weight on a machine,
That I do for a leg press.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like healthy. It's not, and it's definitely something that you need to watch out for because a lot of these kids are going to try to excessively accelerate their strength. Like I've talked to kids, and even I've been like the victim of it too,
Mhm.
where I've talked to kids who will force themselves to, you know, stick with it, do like really heavy sets, and then PR every week.
Yeah.
So somebody's gonna go up in 5 pounds, but your tendons inside, and this is something I surprisingly know a lot about because of this article. Your tendons and stuff like this, like right in your elbow or in your forearms, when your muscles mass, right, and get bigger and bigger,
Mhm.
your tendons aren't fast enough to grow as your muscles are.
Yeah.
So they end up feeling the weight and pressure of your muscles. So your muscle can curl, you know, a whole stack. Your tendons can't. And that's why when you go and see a lot of these bodybuilders, these big weightlifters that are repping out 405 pounds, when you go online, you start to see that there's a lot of videos of people popping their entire chest muscle.
Yeah.
Or there's videos
Yeah.
of a tendon just giving way. And that's all natural stuff. Like, that's the natural part of your body that doesn't get affected by these testosterone boosted situations. And I
Yeah.
talked to a few people for the article, and the quotes are in there. They were definitely tempted, you know, they're very much tempted.
It seems like the common consensus is that like, oh, you see these guys with big muscles, they're able to do this big weight, so in turn, if I'm doing the big weight, I get big muscles, when in fact there's like a science to it. Like with the
Yeah.
weightlifting class, they've said there with your max sheet and everything like that, there's a science to it, and it works really well. It's an amazing program.
Mhm.
But
It's not. As
you don't, and that's a science that benefit your body and what it can take. Now, and if you keep pushing that, where instead of doing like 8 reps on a lower weight and then eventually going down to 6 reps on a higher weight,
Mhm.
and you're just trying to consistently do 10 reps while increasing the weight, the amount of strain you're putting on your body there is insane.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you know, there's a lot of negatives to it. There's a lot of negatives, but there is a lot of positives to influence like that.
Mhm.
For example, consistency. If somebody is promoting consistency over anything else, now it's usually consistency and dietary issues and things that you have to consistently do
Mhm.
and follow. It's really just mentally being in the right headspace to actually work. for the stuff. So if you're sitting there, you're consistently going to the gym. For example, I started at I think 95 bench when I started lifting, which was sophomore year. I stopped lifting in the middle because I did wrestling. But once I got back into lifting, I've now, gotten up to 225 pounds. But that's that's on Smith machine, free weights 215 for everybody that's going to call me out later out. But this weight and stuff like that, when you're going up like that, it takes a long time. I'm almost about to hit my 1 year mark. I am 2 months out from being a full year consistently going to the gym for 5 to 7 days a week sometimes. I don't recommend going 7 days a week, and if you are going to go 7 days a week, make sure 2 of those days are strictly cardio based. Get on the stairs, get on the treadmill, run a mile or so. That's all you need to do. But if you pace yourself and you really work towards it, you can gain the muscle that your body will naturally like to be at. Now, a lot of these people like to push their bodies past their natural limits, and that's where it gets dangerous. But if you're an influencer and you're promoting healthy lifting, you're promoting, people getting into the gym is a very good place. It is known to prevent future schizophrenia patients. It's known to release hormones in the brains that, reduce stress, depression, anxiety, social skills. All of that stuff, when you're in the gym consistently, will actually be reduced. That's why a lot of people will go to the gym in the morning at like 3, 4 a.m. Like I used to, which is kind of stupid. I used to think it was going to make me stronger because I show up at an earlier date than everybody else, but it just woke me up a little bit early in the morning. Which is a good thing, but it also makes you feel good. Throughout the day. From there on, you lifted, and now your body's feeling good, your mind's feeling good.
I always feel like a whole new person.
It makes you feel good.
I agree.
Like you've always got that something to work towards is pretty much the thing. But I think also a big consensus is that it is not overnight results, man. You can't expect to go to the gym one day, just do one thing, be like, yeah, awesome, and then wake up.
Look at that! Look at that!
It takes a long while. It takes a long.
It's like Spider-Man.
Now, I can say I did just come back from the gym. Like right before the session, I went to the gym. I actually texted both of you guys. I was like, because you were doing something with painting, you were out shopping or something like that, and I was just like, screw it, I'm gonna go to the gym. And I ended up going to the gym after I picked up Duncan, hoping that nothing would melt in my car. But luckily, it is pretty outside.
It is.
And it is nice and cold.
It's a perfect
We're
rainy
right
day.
back. We're right back.
All right.
And to segue our way into our next part of this podcast, a new thing came out, obviously, at the end of every month. The school likes to do their athletes of the month. So this time, we got a decent amount of athletes of the month. Now, I can't say that all the teams are doing, spectacular. But I can say that our soccer team shut out South Brunswick recently, 3-0. And our volleyball team on, I think, senior night, shut out North Brunswick 3-0. So our conference, overall, our rivalry schools, we're doing pretty good against, decently. Not in football, though. But we do have some athletes of the month that we have to go through. I'm going to go ahead and quickly run through them because I feel like if we stay on, it's going to be really, really long. So, men's cross country, believe it or not, last week's topic, we brought up Bryson Hollis in our broadcast, and I think we might have talked about it on the podcast. But he broke the school record. He placed first out of 61 people at the North Myrtle Beach Invitational, too.
It's crazy.
So that's a first really good cross-country runner.
That's really good.
Coming from somebody, I used to do cross-country, so I was on and off, and I can tell you right now, not fun. Not fun at all.
Yeah.
Dude, when I'm driving past and I'll see the middle school still walking up the sidewalk, that's
Don't get me wrong, I think I liked being on that team because it really definitely, if you're trying to stay in shape for a sport coming up, when I did cross country, it was usually so I could stay in shape for wrestling coming up, because wrestling's always been the really difficult sport to stay in shape for.
Yeah.
So I really pushed myself in cross country.
I can imagine.
First high school practice of wrestling I did, I passed out standing up. So it's
Wow.
it's something.
It really is. There's not it's really one of the hardest sports to talk about. Like it's a lot of people think it's unhealthy. I've talked to a lot of people. They say that they don't like it because of its like
Men hugging.
no, not that part. Not that part. That part's just kind of like a gimmick. People really
That's
like to
fair.
mess with that, but
Yeah.
people don't like it in general because of how like unhealthy it is. I just did air quotes, even though it's very much true. A lot of it is unhealthy if you don't do it properly. You know, losing weight. I lost 14 pounds in a week, and it was probably the worst week of my life.
Yeah.
Probably. For women's cross country, Tegan Blake placed top 20 in the North Myrtle Beach Invitational
Wow.
and broke her own personal record. That's good.
So,
That's solid. That's solid.
Something silver.
she's in my fourth period.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to be something that when we bring up, you know, what it takes to be an athlete of the month, and a lot of that is you versus yourself. And for her to beat her own personal record, although to a lot of people it might seem like kind of like toss away, it's actually a really big thing. It's a really big thing to, you know, defeat yourself and really push yourself to a new limit.
Yeah.
In men's soccer, we have Tyler Harbin. There's a big description as to why he is. So but the basis of it is that he got 3 goals and 3 assists in one of the games, and he's just a high scorer. And he's a vital part to the team. And if you listen to last week's podcast, you know that I have a soft spot for the soccer team. I kind of do, because a lot of like the soccer team doesn't get as much, you know, coverage as football teams.
Credit where credit is due.
Or even volleyball team. I think the volleyball team gets more coverage than soccer teams.
Yeah.
And the soccer team has done, like, I'm not saying that they're spectacular, but they're doing good.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing,
Especially
I think,
compared to a lot of the other teams.
arguably better than some of the other
Yeah.
sports that we got going on. Women's golf. We actually had somebody recently write a paper on this.
Yeah.
And you're the golf expert,
Mm-hmm.
but Eve Feldman
I would
is
say.
the,
don't say expert. Don't say expert.
No. We hold you to a high
we
standard.
hold you to a high
Come on.
standard.
Okay.
All right. In the off-camera take on the 7-iron, you know. In women's golf, Eve Feldman, she's kind of the leader. There's not many people on the women's golf team, which is upsetting because I think golf is a really fun sport. I think it's something along the lines, in my eyes, like bowling is to me, where it's kind of just like it's toss-up. It's fun. It has its skill gap. That's what I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
It's
has
more of a
its
skill
charm.
gap. Yeah.
There's a charm to it, especially of just like gathering together with a bunch of friends and going to play this.
It's like a great Saturday thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
right.
Like, it's great, like, get the boys, go play golf. You know what I mean?
And like I said, same thing as, you know, something like bowling, it's like a skill gap thing. You know, you have to be able to work your way up to getting better games overall.
Because
And
you
it's
can have the
not a
same
lot of
clubs. You can watch the game as much as you want, but the second you're out there with someone who knows what they're doing, you'll see the difference. You know?
Yeah, and it's kind of like if you're in football or you're in wrestling, there's a big emphasis on aggression and being able to outperform the other person. But in this situation, it's outperforming them through skill and through knowledge of the sport.
Yeah.
Which is really important. It's a really important
It's
thing.
very like calm, or it's supposed to be. It's not always, but it's supposed to be very calm. So you're supposed to, you know, you don't interrupt people. You don't, you know, it's not like you have the crowd like stomping their feet when the other team's about to shoot like a free throw. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
and
like
you're being very like
quiet
and you're just silently judging people. It's really good side action. And for our favorite sport here, football, the player of the month is Trace Segal. I like the kid. I know the kid.
You know the
I do know the kid. I know that guy.
So then what's the butt on that?
The butt is that the football team is, you know. Anyway, he's there. He's the athlete of the month for being the starting center on the offensive line. And if you watch any NFL or college team, you'll realize that the offensive line and the defensive line are just like, you really have to work on that. You have to have good offensive lines, good defensive lines. Because if you don't, you're going to get smoked. In the NFL, there's a saying that I really like because it really runs through with my team was LSU before Penn State. And in 2019, they won a national title because of their defense. And so defense wins championships is a very good thing to always think about in every sport, no matter if it's baseball, no matter if it's football or wrestling or something like that. Because in wrestling, I've gone against kids that will go the entire 6 minutes without shooting a single shot.
Yeah.
But they will defend one.
Oh.
They'll set it up. They'll put them
those
down.
are-
That can be just as important.
Yeah, those are. I mean, it's very important, absolutely. But I tell you what, man, those are just absolutely the most riveting things to watch.
Yeah.
Oh boy. But no, there's a strategic importance to having a really good defense in all of these.
Yeah.
Of course. On to volleyball. Riley Bergeron, who is in the journalism class.
Yeah.
She's actually the athlete of the month. She's a senior. Let's see, and she's kind of the leader of the team.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm reading about pretty much on this. And there's not really much I can say about that. I've seen the team. We've shut out North. We've beaten North twice now, which is impressive.
Yeah.
Albeit, that's pretty impressive. Because we're starting to see like the movement forward. Because if you look back, I'll be honest, I looked at a lot of the records, and they were not outstanding in the previous years.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's definitely a step up. Like I said, intermediate year in the last podcast, like I talked about. Finally, women's tennis, Hannah Cumby. I think it's also in journalism class, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
She is. Anyway, she's in top position for both singles and doubles.
Mm-hmm.
And
wow.
finally, finally getting through all the athletes, what I really wanted to get to, that took 8 minutes, guys. That took 8 minutes to talk about. That
See,
list.
don't crap on West Sports. 'Cause we got a lot going on.
I think it's obligated to have at least one
Yeah.
per sport, though. So
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
don't say that. I'm trying to spin it.
Let's get another 5 on football.
Yeah,
Swing on.
okay. It's terrible. This podcast is not going to stay up for long. But I'd like to go on about what it takes to be an athlete of the month. And to talk about that is to really look at these descriptions of how they've, stepped into this place. And for half of them, it's really just a sense of leadership.
Mm.
If you can be a good leader, right? If you can step up when people don't step up. Because a lot of people, they always ask, are you a leader or a follower? The simple answer to that question is there's always typically 1 or 2 leaders and the rest are going to follow.
Yeah.
Because it's just innate human behavior to, follow up with people. Like team with people. Because it's usually a better idea, but some people obviously don't think it's that great. But being a leader is a standout thing.
Mm.
It's something that you need to
I
step
think it's definitely
forward.
rare.
And it's a positive, it's a positive movement for the rest of the team, and it's what really helps win games. Obviously, defense wins championships, but leadership wins games. Leadership creates the heart of the team.
It's good too to have someone to look up to be like, we got this person that I trust, that I like, that I know has my best interest at heart, and having that kind of relationship with someone changes it. If you're all kind of an equal on the team in the sense of you're all kind of followers, you all really just want to be leaders, that's probably going to hurt the team. Because when you have someone to look up to that you like and admire, that can really change things.
Yeah, and I agree because there was a saying once that I really like to look back to, because it was on a lot of the things wrestling wise. There's a lot of things baseball wise that reflected to, and one of it is if you're the best in the room, then you're in the wrong room. Because in reality, your goal is always to beat yourself, but your goal is to always learn from someone else. There's always somebody better out there. If you go into a match, you get beat by somebody. The best wrestler in the world got pinned last year at the national titles when he was supposed to be a 4th-time national champion. And he got pinned by a kid that was ranked 6th. There's always someone that's going to come out and beat you. And a lot of it stems from your passion. A lot of it stems from your ability to go past what you guys think of yourself. I can walk into a room and I can look around and I could probably pick out the few people that, could lead the class.
Yeah.
I could pick out the people that, stand out, that step forward, that handle things properly. And I think that the leadership alone is one of the major things to be an athlete of the month because it's the most noticed thing. Now, there's some other things that are less noticeable, but if people notice that you're out there, you're providing support for a team that might be falling down. You might be behind. You might come out there. You might step in to show them the way forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's the important part. Now, we also have to talk about beating yourself. Because this is something that I've already brought up multiple times, but it's something that's so important to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's kind of the same as consistency that we were talking about at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
If you just consistently go out, work towards a new record for yourself, that's what beating yourself is.
Yeah.
But it could also be a mental thing. Like if you're blocked, like if you think it's over, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if you're sitting there and you're like, I can beat this guy, and you're down 6 points, there's still hope. If you can sit there and be like, this guy is not that great, I can beat him, I can move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are the best on the team, like Bryson Hollis is in cross country,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about beating your own records. Or beating previous records like he already did.
There's a giant mental block with all of it.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think
With any sport.
that's really what shows out being, an athlete of the month. That's the difference. That's the length that people will go.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think it's easy to mentally say, okay, you're in, but it's actually harder to do than just say. Because there's a lot more to it than just saying to yourself you can win. There's a difference between saying it and believing it
Mm-hmm.
that take you a step forward.
Yeah.
Saying it can go here, right? It can go slightly ahead. But if you believe it, you're taking leaps towards the next
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
to the next
Sure,
part
yeah.
of being a better athlete, a better person, and a more, passionate leader,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Another thing I'd like to touch on with being a, athlete of the month is definitely being, approachable and being out there for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
There's a humbleness that.
Yeah, there's 100%
You need
humbleness.
to be humble, actually know your sport too.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
You have to go out there and show people that, like, you're there to play the sport. You're competitive to play the sport. You want to win.
Mm-hmm.
There's a joy and there's something about hating losing more than you love winning.
Mm-hmm.
Hate losing more than you love winning, because if you hate losing, you're going to go as far as you can to not lose. But if you love winning, you'll go for it.
Yeah.
You won't guarantee it. You'll go for it, though. It's a once in a while thing. But I think
It's
those
like a
are
little
the
caffeine rush.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
really just like the little things about that really take people, pridefully towards the next better heading. And I'm just trying to look through to see if I missed anything on what else I can say. Another thing is just outplaying everybody else, but that's the smallest way you can get
That's
there.
a real.
That's a real like.
That's really niche because that would emphasize like, oh yeah, to be good you gotta be built, you gotta be awesome, you gotta be a prodigy at this sport.
Yeah.
And there's so
Most of the
much
times,
there.
the ones that are like the very
So
best
much.
are the ones that aren't the ones that you look at and you're like, oh, they're probably the best. It's the
Yeah.
ones that kind of keep it more to themselves and just
Yeah.
focus on it.
The humbleness.
Yeah, exactly.
Right back
Exactly.
then.
Right back. Yeah. Well, that's pretty much all I have to say about the athletes of the month and stuff like that. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna cut into the next section, which we're gonna jump from our more local area. We're gonna start talking about media stuff, like we said, and we're gonna touch up on some Halloween because it's coming up. Halloween is
Best holiday.
baby.
Best holiday.
Action. Oh man! All right. Thank you for tuning in to This Flight with the Hot Air Podcast. We'd like to make a special thank you to the West Wind for allowing us to start this series. And if you'd like to know more about these topics, be sure to check in at wbhswestwind.net.